Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, hit that thumbs up button. It helps the algorithms in YouTube keep this up for other people to find when they come a-searching. This is a continuation of the C.U.C.U campaign, which stands for Cripple UK, Collapse the USSR. And we are getting ready to go into turn February of 1943. And let's just go ahead and get started. We had already rolled the weather. It was poor in the warm zone and severe in the other two. So let's, I think we're going to be here right away. So we'll get started. Oh, flashing. Okay, nobody declared war. We only have two neutrals left, the Netherlands and Portugal. Everybody's either joined a side or been conquered by Germany. We are doing production. The British are at 16. He's been doing well in strategic warfare. Russians under Moscow Treaty only have 18. Excuse me. And the Germans have 32. Spain only has 3 because I've taken Tangier here. The British, I'm trying to hold out here in Gibraltar and Morocco of North Africa, French North Africa. And of course the Americans give one to Ireland because they can. And that's that. Now I think we go, there's no strategic warfare versus Soviets under treaty. So we're going into the, he gave one to the Spanish. That's right. So we're going to strategic warfare against the West. He has 5 because he doesn't have an airplane in Norway. I only have 2 because I didn't get any bomb markers into Germany. And we went to combat commitment because we both had stuff we could play. He did not, I did. So I played my Ultra. He rolled a 5 plus 5, halves down to a 5, and I managed to roll the one thing that would lose me a factory, which was a 1. So my lost factories go up 1. My Ultra comes back in 4 turns. And now we're into strategic movement. Can't really remember what he did with this one. Oh, he put somebody in Sevastopol just to keep me from being able to get a free invasion when I get my surprise attack marker in January. With the Russians, if they're in the war and you have an open port, they usually can afford to just go ahead and do a silly invasion and then, immediately rebuild it because they don't have a lot to do in the winter anyway. And they will have a lot of points. The West, I don't think I had one, and I don't even think I did one with the Soviets. Nope. So we're into operations phase. He's poor weather. He said, what the heck, I'm going to try and push the U.S. task force back a space. Moves the Germans up. Goes ahead and attacks at a net of +2. He's +3 for the armor, +1 for the infantry helping. And then it's -1 for the weather, -1 for the terrain. So he's down to +2 to my +1. We go to combat commitment again. Really need to make a hotkey for that. It was kind of obvious we were both going to throw our tanks because he's got nowhere else to use them. And I need to use it to try and give me any kind of edge. So I'm at each through a tank. He goes up to 3 and I go up to 2. So it's +3 to +2. Rolled a 5 plus 3 is an 8. That's pretty good. I rolled a 6 plus 2 is an 8. So I managed to hold the hex for a turn. Now he's taking this airplane and coming down here to these aircraft. I think he's going after fighter command first. So he's like -2 because of the weather. +2 for German, -2 for weather, and then -2 more for the sorties he has. And I'm like -5, I think. Yeah. So he rolled a 4. -2 is a 2, so he only gave me for 1 sortie. And then he goes and says, well, I'll take the shot at the other airplane. Needed a 6, and he just missed it, so he got 1 there. And now he's going to do, has the Italians go up to 2 sorties and takes out fighter command. And then he moves this airplane that he had been using in northern Spain into France to fulfill home defense requirements. And then he takes the 0 airplane, moves it down here into Spain, and then has it go ahead and finish off the last British aircraft there. And then he thought about what the points would be. He started to think about it, said, no, it's not worth it. He couldn't, in poor weather, he couldn't get off at what he felt to be a decent enough attack. He moves the Turk up and moves some Italians around. He's marching this low supply German down through Sweden to try and get it in supply across the strait at Denmark. And then I think he just did a couple of like preparatory moves for the Russians will come in sometime, and it's like when you're dealing with the Russian treaty, it's usually best for the Germans to go ahead whenever they have a few spare points to just go ahead and like move a couple units where you think they kind of sort of should be until you know what the Russians are going to, where they're going to concentrate their armor and their shock armies and stuff like that. So now we're in the Western Ops phase. We kind of skipped through the supply phase. We've been doing this so long that we know that both these Italian fleets go up 2 and they both come down 2. It's just we don't even bother to do it half the time. So I moved the American airplane over 1 space, and I thought about, do I want to be at 3 sorties to his 1 sortie in Cadiz? And I said, no, we're going to go ahead and make you lose a sortie, and then I'll come down a sortie. And I'm not sure. Oh, this is me. I'm trying to run a bomber campaign, trying to get into Metz. And he can attack me in poor weather. He's a 0, and I'm a minus ridiculous amount. And of course, he rolled a 6, so I take 2 sorties and don't get the bomb marker in. And now I think I'm doing my supply phase. He said, as long as you escort. So we have an agreement. As long as I escort, he says he's not going to attack me in poor weather if I'm escorted, because it costs him too many sorties to try and get 1 hit on a convoy. So I just escorted everybody up. Some little shenanigans, moving some armored around, just trying to realign my Russian army. Nobody's taking anything off in the no supply phase. Did we? Did I? I thought I did. I guess I didn't. So he brings down his airplanes. We had forgotten that he had put this Turk at no supply, so it's supposed to be actually removed. He's planning on using a strategic movement to move this real Turk into here so that it's harder for me to take any of these ports. He has a real German armored there. Even if I were to land this garrison here, I'm not going to stop his +2, and then this German army can just come down and kill me in a later turn. So, kind of a pointless endeavor unless I attack with a real army. And then this is me getting all my sorties back with the Allies. And the Russians get some of their airplanes back. Italians built an infantry in Genoa, or garrison, I should say. And now we're into the diplomacy phase. And I think we look at the cup first. So it's like, so there's 5 no events and 2 political successes in there. So not the greatest chances. But so he goes ahead and pulls, I think. Yep. He pulls and got to no event. I said, what the heck, I'll pull, and I got a no event. And then the Russians said, let's put a political success and a no event in there, trying to get something to happen on those last 2 minors. That was at closing phase, victory, and we're at end of turn. End of turn is pretty straightforward. We just pull stuff off the track here. Oops. Get rid of that. So he has 2 subs now. I have an American bomber I can build, and then we go into March. We should be doing the weather next. Doom, 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 doom. No weather, player aid card. There's the weather chart, and here's the weather track. And in March, we just roll to see where we end up. Rolled a 2, 2, and a 5. So a 2 is poor, because we're right on this line here. Right here. See my mouse moving across? So he got a poor, and a severe. Severe is bad for him in the warm zone because the best you can usually manage to pull up with a severe, because you're halved, is a retreat. So it's kind of, yes, there's no airplanes, no tank bonuses, but by the same token, it's very hard to get a big enough plus to actually. You'd have to get a grand total of 12 just to have a chance at getting a 6 when you have it. So it's very unlikely that you will get more than a retreat in this. So we went ahead and went into the next one. No one declared war. Economies is going to be very similar to what we just did. You see, I hate it when it loses focus. So we just kind of move everything around. I don't think he gave anything to any of his allies. He figured in severe he wasn't going to do anything. Strategic warfare is the same as it was last time. He's a +5. I'm a +2. And I can't remember. We had to go to combat commitment because I had partisans and he had subs. Again, he did not play and I did. I said, well, let me see if I can. I'm trying to get back a factory here. He rolled a 6 +5, halves down to a 6 because you round up. So he's rolling extremely well when I'm telling him to have his die rolls. And fortunately, because he was halved and I rolled a 4 +2 as a 6, I do get a factory back. But as you can see, I'm way low on production points with the British, and it's not likely to get any better. He's just got too much with all of his pluses with holding. The Basra Kuwait thing is a killer for the West. It just keeps the British down to production points a little better than the Italians, and they have a whole lot more expensive units than the Italians to move around. And of course, my powers can come back in 4 turns. Strategic movement. He moved. Since I have a pro marker in Portugal, and he's like, well, that might just come in. He went ahead and put a German infantry there, so I can just easily wander in and take Portugal from you if you decide to bring it in. I didn't have one for the West. Some kind of shenanigans with the Soviets. And okay. So now we're to his operations phase. I don't even know if he did anything. Oh, I think he's doing air. If I remember right, he basically does air here. So it gets down to this area. So he is in severe. He's +2, but he's halved. He's using his 0 airplane on my. I think he's going after my American with it. I'm not sure. And he rolled a 5, and I rolled a 3. So his 5 is halved to a 3, and I couldn't get it high enough. So I take 2 sorties on the American. Then I think he goes after one of the Brits. He rolled a 6 +1, halves down to a 4. Again, he gets 2 on that one. And then he goes ahead and uses the Italian. 3 halved to a 2. And we just do 2 sorties there because I can't hurt him with being down so many sorties. So now he's going to have all 3 airplanes being at full next turn, which is bad for me. I'm not sure what that attack is. I'm not sure what we're doing there. I don't know what that attack was. Oh. It was another attempt, a vain attempt. 2 plus 1 is 3, minus 1 is plus 2 to my plus 1. This attack down here on the task force. Right there. Again, he's just trying to push me back a hex. And he moves some Spaniards over towards Portugal just to contain it, because I could set the Portuguese up there and maybe give him some heart attack for a second. Moves his Yugoslav up to guard the northern pass. Gets the Italian into Algiers to kind of help defend it against any silly back-end invasion that I might try to pull off from like Tangier or something. And we're just doing his supply. This guy is no longer in low supply because he's now in Malmo. And in Western actions, I don't think I did anything. I just did supply. And in the Soviets, I just moved an infantry in and an armored out. Rearranging my line a little bit. And no supply phase, nobody removed anything. Actually, I did. Go back. This is a little trick. You notice how he was rotating his airplanes from France into Spain and stuff and doing that. This is one of the things you can do with the Allies, since he can intercept things. I have a 6 sortie guy here. So what I did is I said, the heck with that, I'm going to remove him, because I have a couple of 0 sortie convoys in like the North Atlantic and stuff. So that's what you're going to see me doing here in a second. And now he's replacing his convoys, his airplanes. I brought back my bomber. American convoy comes down to 0. It's really kind of important to use American convoys in situations like this whenever you can, because you don't have to pay UK production points, and with this crippling of the UK economy, it's kind of important. So, and I think the Soviets brought down some airplanes, and nobody. Soviets are holding off on their upgrade. Oh, the Axis built a Turk that they had go no supply and get removed. We reset everything. Did I have anything to build with the West? Yes, I got bombers from the West. And we're into the diplomacy phase again. So we're kind of in the same situation we were last time. I have a few more political successes. So the Germans went ahead and pulled. Oh. Come on, Germans. There we go. So they pulled and they got a no event. Well, now there's only 3 no events and 3 political successes in the bucket. So I said, what the heck? I pulled and the West got a political success. So, I mean, I could remove his pro marker in Amsterdam. Okay, cool. No matter how you look at it, he's never going to declare war on Amsterdam. I'm going to have to do it. So the Netherlands is basically going to become a German ally. When I come back into France, I have to go through that to try and get through to Germany usually. So there'll be a declaration of war on that at some point. But right now, I went ahead and said, let's activate Portugal. And I put it there rather than in Lisbon because I do have a unit sitting here in Plymouth that I could possibly use a convoy to transport into Lisbon. And by sitting there, he can't he can't just walk in and hit me at isolated bonus. He can still make it so that I can't retreat if he wants to attack me and take Portugal. He can probably do it without too much trouble. But he also has to think about, right now he's at 3, 6, 9. So he's at +3 versus the Soviets, and he has +3 against the Soviets because of if he puts an airplane in Norway. If he takes one more minor out like this, then he has a he'll be at +4, which means when the Soviets come in, his economy could start to get hurt, which could mess up his defenses. So he's being very iffy about whether he's going to go and take Portugal. I think if he takes out Gibraltar, then he'll go get Portugal. But I don't think he's going to worry too much about Portugal ahead of time. At least that's my opinion. He can always comment and tell you that it's different, if it is. And I threw another success into the Diplomacy Cup for no good reason. So now we're at the end of turn. He's getting, he got a ground support back. He gets economic reform, so he's extra factories should go up by 1. Why am I not? Oh. Right, so his extra factories are up to 3 now. He gets a garrison that he can build. I got some more Russian upgrade counters. We move into April, and then we will go to weather. And this time we have to use the line. So we'll be using the poor line for the first two, for cold zone and mild zone. And we'll be using the last line, the severe line, for the warm zone, which means the worst that's going to happen to him is he gets poor there. All right? So now we go and we roll the dice. He gets a 5, 6, and a 1. So the most important part is the warm zone became fair, which with him being at max aircraft sorties down there, bodes ill for me in April of 1943 in the Eastern Western Mediterranean, I guess it is. And so that was the weather phase, and then I believe we are done here. Yep, that's the end of it. So, there you have it, February and March 1943 in the C.U.C.U campaign. Things are not looking good for the Allies again. I had hoped to hold out through the summer at Gibraltar, but I'm not sure that I'll be able to do that. He's just overwhelming me with Air Force and armored units, and he has all 4. He has 4 of his 5 armored units here. There's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, an infantry unit, plus Spanish and Turkish support. And there's not a lot I can do. If I try to set anything up to like threaten him at Bosphor or whatever, I have to weaken either England or this. And as silly as it sounds, a 43 sea line is not out of the question if I don't have anything in England to defend. So I actually did it in a BGA game that basically stopped the entire Western offensive in French North Africa and into Turkey that they were trying to mount because they had to send everybody back to stop my marauding around England and actually causing it to collapse, which he will do, but at least it's going to take him a couple months to clean me out of there, and then, you know, he's lost most of his summer turns to try and take out Italy and Turkey and all that kind of stuff. He's going to have to do it on a shoestring. So, okay. As always, I am Dren608. If you like my videos, please hit the like button so it helps you, YouTube algorithms. If you really like what you're seeing, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notify button. You will see me when I post other videos of this game and other games. I do other war board games. I am attempting to get my streaming software to work correctly, and I have a very poor band setup. I only have one screen, and I'm going to try and stream this game using the BGA module, and I'm also going to see if I can't stream a really oldie but goodie called Bard's Tale. It was an RPG back in the day for computers that was amusing to me. So we'll see if I can get my streaming software up. Look for that if you're subscribed. You should, if I can figure out how to do it, it should have like, you know, this date and time that I would start to do it. And then you can tune in and hear me babble along without editing as I, you know, blunder through a game or two. Anyway, until we meet again, stay safe. Bye-bye.